Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about the new tutoring check function that we're going to be having in our group classes. But first I want to talk about the overall direction we're going to be going in during the next few months. We've seen basically the following: that group classes are amazingly good for one thing, which is finding academic gaps and fixing those academic gaps. And that's huge. I mean, the vast majority of even one-on-one tutoring in the world does not do that. The vast majority of tutoring is just Band-Aid on top of Band-Aid on top of Band-Aid. Tutors just basically giving answers, pretending to teach. I mean, it's just total nonsense. So the fact that our group classes can do that, can actually find these deep-seated underlying gaps and address those gaps is incredible. And it's going to, of course, be a major part of our system. Here's the thing that we're seeing, though, is that, yes, academic gaps are a major part. That's the heavy lifting. It's the most time-consuming part of individualized education, but it's not the only part. And what are those other parts? Psychological things, misunderstandings, all the millions of things that we've seen in group class. When you're working with a student in a group class and it just, everything just seems to be just missing the point by a little bit, kind of like just a series of failures to communicate. That is something that's different from what the group class is designed to do or able to do. So over the next months, we're going to be bringing in more tutoring. It's going to actually end up, even though tutoring is more expensive per hour, it's going to end up saving our clients a whole pile of money. It's going to get better results. Because why is it going to save money? Because instead of doing 3,000 hours of group class going nowhere, you'll use group class when it makes sense. You'll use tutoring when it makes sense. It's going to give better results because we can actually address the problems rather than having people in class and never actually finishing the checklist. And I think it's going to overall create a much better program. So part of that is we want to guide clients as to when to do tutoring, because you don't always need to do tutoring for everything. You need to do tutoring occasionally for some things. And so an hour into every class, you're going to get a tutoring check. And what does a tutoring check look like? It's kind of like that performance check, but it's a tutoring check. All right, so I guess the images, there's a few versions running right now, but you get the idea. So let me go over these. Does the student need tutoring in this subject? Was it likely to be 4 times faster than the group class? So your options are not needed. And that's for most people. Most of the time, you probably don't need tutoring for this particular subject. Moderately suggested means that it'll probably take 3 hours in group class to accomplish what you can do in an hour of tutoring. Now, these last two, strongly suggested, that's when you're seeing the psychological things, behavioral things, cognitive things, where it's just clear that everything is just kind of just missing the target. Like in those circumstances, that's where the strongly suggested comes in. And finally, if something is just clearly not going to work in group class, is when you use the urgently needed. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you're going to use the not needed. You'll occasionally use this. These two are going to be rare, but don't shy away from them. And if you're not sure whether or not to use them, just ask a lead instructor, and they'll tell you whether or not to use those. This whole system, this new addition is basically part of an overall plan to restructure the business in a way that's going to get better results at lower cost, which is obviously one of our main goals. If you have any questions, just contact me this week. This week, we're going to be building all kinds of new things. There's going to be other major changes coming in terms of what we're going to be focusing on, how we're doing projects, whatnot, and I'll keep you guys updated as they go.